that your long name that your passport can't contain. I cannot pronounce the whole thing. Eh? So, Ejakududu. No. Ajabud. You see, is the challenge. All right, help me out. Help me out with the full name.
Godwin Omoikudu Orume.
Okay. Godwin Omoikudu Orume. First of all, happy birthday, Dudu. Right. To let everyone know, where there's live streaming, local and international, and I've been instructed by my media guides that everyone should please keep the voices down so that the international world and local and Nigeria can hear what's going on. Uh-oh. Media guys, is the fan disturbing? All right. Right. Welcome again, like I said. The chairman of today's event is Mr. Dan Ungerem. Please come welcome him. Before he gives his opening address, which will come, I'm sure we all know Mr. Dan Ungerem, one of the powerhouses behind athletics in Nigeria. He's done very well. He's retired but not tired, and I know, because when we talk at the Quick Club, he just shakes his head as to the current state of athletics in Nigeria. I had to put that in. The first thing, 1 second, please. I need to see some of my media people. Like I said, I must take permission from my media bosses here. Not to waste much time on this, because we want to round up by 2 o'clock as much as possible. We'd like the birthday boy to say 1 or 2 things before we move on to other things, the other aspects of today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I say welcome to this day and thank you for finding time to spend today with me. I hope that at the end of deliberations today, we'll be able to put together a vehicle that will deliver Nigerian sports. And hopefully, with your kind support, it will assume a life of its own. And, well, I don't want to preempt the chairman. We've been at this thing for a long time, but let's continue to be at it and look for different ways to get this business done. Welcome.
Thank you, Dudu. Right. I have also been instructed by the organizers that they would like the chairman and yourself to sit on this side. But the next thing on the agenda is the opening address by the chairman, after which we'll now take the other things, the other people that are going to occupy these seats. Mr. Chairman, sir.
What can I say other than welcome? But my problem is making me chairman of any event is always a problem. The problem is that I'm going to cut things to the bone. There are a few people that I know have management meetings, they have other meetings, but I do want them to stay as long as possible. Someone like Felix Awogu, where is he? I don't want him to escape. Has he escaped already? General Manager, Super Sports, West Africa. Another one is Tunja Deinka. Has he escaped as well? Please, let's make sure that this man does not leave, because whatever you talk about sports, at the end of the day, you need to fund it. You need to market it. It's only government that would do it for charity or for development and all that. But once you talk sports, you got to fund it. And to fund it, you must communicate to people that will use that platform to do whatever you want to do. That's the bottom line. Any other thing is you walk up to people, they're supposed the event is costing 100 naira, they may just give you 100 naira. The event is costing maybe 100 naira, they give you 50 kobo and say, listen, give them on corporate social responsibility so that you get them off our backs. But if you really want to talk sustainable sports, the billions of dollars we hear thrown all over the place in other parts of the world, is people like Tunja Deinka and others like that that do put them together. So why I want us to focus and get straight to the point is that so that people don't get bored and we get to the real issues before we disperse. I think they've given each speaker 10 minutes. So I see us living here in an hour, if we all agree. If there are residual issues, maybe another 20, 30 minutes, but others can get on with their business. But sports in Nigeria, like Dudu said, we've been at this forever. There is nothing in Nigerian sports that has not been written. I stand to be corrected. The documents are there. From the state level, the Bermudia report, the Kazeba report, the Presidential Advisory Panel, all sorts of panels. As we're leaving athletics, we left a 10-year report. There's nothing new to discuss, really, if you ask me. Everything is there, documented. In fact, General Williams' own, when they said they wouldn't publish it because the report, Agrimo will bear me witness here, the government didn't like what General Williams' committee was doing, so they removed the secretariat. But the man being the maverick, he said, go ahead and publish it. So it's all that other report were synthesized, and it's all on the internet today, so anybody can access it. Why I'm saying all this is that we do not waste time. Why? We already know what the issues are. Remember Babayo Shehu report? He woke me up one month, I think 2012, 2008. God bless you. I had to fly from here to Abuja to present a report on restructuring of Nigerian football, particularly from a marketing communications point of view, branding and funding particularly. But what happened, I checked their website. The committee did not even know when NFA was formed, or Nigerian Football Association was formed. I need to do research, got old papers, 60s or something. And I told them, when were you formed? Even people in the committee didn't know. I had to correct that, and that's what they have today. So there is nothing new that we can tell ourselves except to focus, focus, focus. And please, let us not waste each other's time, grandstanding, repeating what others have said, because like we said, any document you need in Nigerian sport is articulated, is written, is there for you to access. So let's just go to the meat, and I beg of those presenting to us today to please stick to this 10 minutes. Then anybody that is interested for further discussion can contact you on WhatsApp, can go and read further reports. If they don't have, I have a repository of those reports, and I can make them available to you. So I thank you for coming, for making our time to come. It's only someone like Dudu Orume that can bring people together, high caliber people like this, experienced people that have seen it all. What are we to see anymore in Nigerian sports? So I thank you for making that sacrifice on a work day to be here. Please, you're very welcome, and I wish all of us happy deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But not yet. Not yet. Just prepare. Right. The next presentation shall be done by Mr. Agu Imo Esquire. Okay. Right. He served on General Williams' Presidential Advisory Committee on Sports. So that's a very big man here with us. Please come forward, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. This is a distinguished audience. This is a distinguished environment. I remember when we came here 30 something odd years ago at the beginning of Sports Shack when Dudu came into town. When Dudu came into town, I had a place called Boys Corner on Olufemi Road. Maybe one or two people will remember that. And so there was this guy who had just come into town and who was taking all the customers away. He was fresh and he had a lot of ideas. So this Dudu brand has been on for a long time. And so when he told me about this, I said, this is something we have to do. You know, branding is very important in sports. And so we mustn't play with the idea that somebody can be so consistent for 30 odd years, 35 years, and then we just allow it to go. So Dudu, happy birthday. And God bless you. My talk is very simple. It's on rethinking Nigerian sports. And like my senior brother, Egbon, my Dede, Dan, has said, we've talked about all these things before, but we still have to keep on talking about it because nothing has changed. You know, we have failed. We are failing. And we may continue to fail if we don't do something drastic about it. So we'll use Dudu to think about these things, to rethink it. So my talk is on rethinking Nigerian sports. What exactly do we need to do? It's cerebral. Dudu is a lawyer. So this is a good place to think and then begin to implement the things that we talk about. And what I would like us to do is that let's begin to play by the rules. You know, sports is about rules. You know, we can't but play by the rules. You know, football has rules. Everything has rules. Even God created rules. What you sow is what you reap. We can't continue doing the wrong things and hope to get the right result. The biggest rules that we have in this country are contained in our constitution. Our senior advocates can, you know, the ground norm. And first of all, the constitution does not put sports in either the exclusive or concurrent list. So really, the truth is that the federal government has no business legislating on the National Assembly on sports. And it doesn't mean that it's an error. It is because it is not supposed to be that way. Sports is association. Sports is recreational. Sports is by agreement. It's not something you start making big rules and regulations about. So some people may say, okay, but the federal government provides all the money. They don't have to provide all the money. It is because of this opaque, dangerous system we have put in place that it appears that sports that can be very, very lucrative has to be funded only by the government. So we don't have any clubs. We don't have any associations. We don't have anything going for us. All we have is every once in a while a ministry of sports. How can a ministry of sports, how can a civil servant who has no interest in really the game or the sports be the person who's going to oversee the sport? So what do? Because we're not just coming here to rant. We should recognize the fact that sports is not exclusive, it's not concurrent, so it's residual. So who has the responsibility for sports? The state governments. The state governments. How is sports going to be funded? By rules. by regulations, by taxes. That's how it's done in other places. Gaming, games, lottery, sports, none of them are exclusive. None of them are concurrent. They are all residual, which means that all the money that is being made by Bet Niger and all the other big guys, I don't want to, is actually a money that should be regulated by the state governments. So if it is the state government, Lagos, that is going to be able to, Lagos, everything is in Lagos, that all this money actually should be coming to Lagos, then how does Lagos now organize sports in such a way that they can play sports across the country? By agreement, once again, by articles of agreement. It means that there should be a vibrant Southwest association of some sort. There must be something happening in the East also, Northeast, Northwest, and everybody by association, by articles of association is doing something across board from local government. I saw something on television the other day, and they said that the Governor Diri sporting wrestling competition.
King's College. All right. Thank you. King's College also. I'm sure some developers have come to say, people are wasting this land. They still have their fields. Thank you. Okay. So apart from the old missionaries, but Igobi, do they still have their land? Oh, thank God for that. Fimbas, some of it. Aha. So a lot of neighborhoods. Sulere had a lot of open spaces, but they're being built up now. And I think we need to start protecting, take charge, start challenging government. No, you can't sell this land. No, you can't develop on this land. These are open spaces. Let the kids have somewhere to go and express themselves. So that's my only two kobo. I was going to talk about Oga's dressing today, but I'll give that for time. I have protection, so I can talk. But, yes, moving along. I've been instructed again by my boy here. Please call out the panelists to take their seats while presentations are going on. First person like it's called was Mr. Shegun Agbede. Can you please come forward, sir? The second is Mr. Ikena Okoli, SAN, please. My bon, Mr. Ogalap, sir. He's a very humble man, doesn't like those titles. SAN. Go ahead, sir, you can say that, sir. Yes, Mr. Felix Awogo. Pastor Ime James. Someone just said Ime Trouble. Somebody said Pastor Ime Trouble. Thank you so much, sirs. Now, the next presentation shall be by 200, 400 meters sprint champion, Mr. Enefiok Odo Obong, our Olympic gold medalist, the man that came from 6th to 1st. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I'm not that humble like the SANU. Please, Olympic gold medalist and bronze medalist, please. Mr. Chairman, I will stick to your 10 minutes. Although I was told that there will be a presentation, so I've been taken aback. Since there's no presentation, I will format my I'll format my discussion in a different way. But before I start, because it's very critical to what I want to talk about, I would like us all just to indulge you, please, with your permission, to just stand up and sing happy birthday to Mr. Dudu. So can we start? I don't know how we do this. 1, 2, 3, go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. All right. Thank you very much, sirs. But what was very important in my discussion was I wanted somebody to start up. How old are you now? Yeah, because that is key to my presentation. Okay, because I was told on coming here that I should talk about catching them young. And I didn't know why he decided I should speak that way on that. But coming in here, probably, maybe at 50, I may be the youngest person here. But I decided to look at the word young, and basically what the Oxford Dictionary says is something that has existed for a short period of time. It's young. It's synonymous with youth, which in the dictionary the same thing says, defines the youth as a young man. But I showed in my presentation some things we tried to clear. I know that in some political parties, the youth leader is about 70 years old, so Mr. Dudu is still young, because we have politicians here that were outside discussing that. So, but we really want to understand what the term young is. And when we come into young, and we have to count them young, it brings me to the argument on age, looking at what really age is. And in the discussion on sports, we have a lot of things going on about age. A few days ago, we had some young, I put that in quotes, some young athletes far away in Trinidad and Tobago doing Nigeria proud at the Commonwealth Under 18 Championship. Some of them have been 16 for the past 7 years. So when we try to look at this ageless situation, I said, okay, what really is age? How do we define age? And how can we, is it actually right that we should categorize people based on age? A few minutes ago, Mr. Dudu said that anybody that he was talking to his friend that was 61, that they are not age mates, he's 65. And we were looking for someone 66 to tell Mr. Dudu to keep quiet, but we didn't see at that point in time. I don't know if there's somebody 66 now. So, but what is age? We now have defined age in terms of sports. Is it really right for us to categorize age in terms of how old you are? Do we get under 16, under 20? And how do we catch the young athletes? How do we get young athletes that represent a country? Is it even right to put that? In 3 weeks' time, we have the National Youth Games, which is an under-15 competition, going to take place in Asaba. If you are born on the 1st of September 2008 and after, you're eligible. But if you're born 31st August 2008, you're overaged. So does that actually define who the category we put age, how we age people based on the first part of age, chronological age, correctly? Because chronological age basically is how many times the earth has revolved around the sun. So if Mr. Dudu, earth has revolved around the sun 65 times, and that's why he's here. So do we use that one to define what really is where we could pick up talent and how good somebody is? Scientists have shown us that that is even the worst way of categorization and grading people and categorizing them by age. The chronological age is the worst, but that's the one we talk about all the time. We also have to look at appearance age. If there was a presentation, I would have shown you how we have an African footballer who appeared 40, but was actually 17. And we saw another footballer, and it's not just in Africa. And we don't have to talk about cheating all the time. A few years ago, there was an Italian footballer, I think Ravanelli, Fabrizio. At 27, he was looking 40. I don't want to use white hair. Some people white and they're not really very. I don't want to use that to define them. But he was looking old. Okay, all right. Thanks. So we have the appearance age. So do we categorize people how they appear? Will that be very fair? Or do we use the third type of ages? We say the biological or developmental age. And this is key with me working, especially as a coach, working with young people. I understand that this is key in categorizing young talents rather than chronological age, because people have different levels of development. It's very wrong to put, if you go and take people in year 7 or JS1 or 11-year-olds and you put them together, some are big and some are small. And most often at that age, the big ones always win. Now, for a raw eye or an untrained eye, they might pick that and say, oh, if they're doing a race, this is the talent, this one is winning. But if we wait 3 or 4 years, we see those that are late developers or late entry into puberty start getting better at another age. So is it right now for us to bring out people in chronological age and say that all under 11 should compete together, when we actually know that there are some that are already at the age of 11 in the middle part of their pubertal development, while some have not even started? We know that those that have started puberty will definitely be stronger, definitely be faster. So how do we define, how do we categorize those people? Then we also have the psychological age. Those that will be able to understand and be able to recognize what they have been going through. It may be that many of the athletes that come from some third world countries have a higher or a more mature psychological age than some that are from the Western country because of probably what they have been going through. Some of them have been working for years and working for months or trying to serve their family or provide for their family. This also affects how well we can identify these talents, the way they think, the way they talk, and the way they develop. Do we look at the functional age or the social age? Maybe let's look at that. Social age first. How well do they adapt to the environment, or what are they thinking about their environment or their culture and how they live? Somebody that's and Mr. Chairman is very good with, I've seen Mr. Chairman types a lot on WhatsApp, he's very good with social media. So we can see that basically social media age, or people of social media age, are in their teens and in their 20s. So in terms of social age, I can say, Mr. Chairman, you are about 22 years old, so I may be older than you then, because I'm not very good at social media. So the social age is how they adapt to culture that are breaking barriers around what they are. So this kind of people, does it affect their development and how they perform in training, or how we can adapt to what they know and what they don't know? We also have their functional age, which is a combination of their social, their psychological, and their developmental. How well are their body systems working? Is their kidney working properly? Have they been drinking? So lots of these affects also how we categorize people. Then there's an artificial one, which in most books you will not see. It's more or less political science students will know, the political ages. And these are the ages that government assign, not the ones that we do in Nigeria that we say you're 6 or no. The ones that is artificially done. For example, you can't drive till you're 16, or you can't vote till you're 18, or you can't go to school till you're 3. All those artificial ages are using artificial without any real, using a general chronological age without any real scientific backing to see whether it's right for a child of 3 years old to start, or you have to wait till her social age develops more, where she can interact more before she starts school, or probably her developmental age more, where she can actually interact. But the most important in my years of working with kids and knowing who is talented and who is not is what they call the training age, which is the 8th and last point I'm putting down. The training age. And the training age is how much time, what's the duration that people have undergone a specific type of training. If a child with a training age of about 1 year comes and runs faster than someone that has a training age of about 4 years, we now can really to infer that those that have a training age of 1 year probably has more talent, because if you put the same child through a rigorous training or through a systematic training of 4 years, we can expect better results.
You have
so
1 minute left.
Sometimes we don't
You
even
have
really...
1 minute left.
By my time is 4 minutes.
No, you have 9 minutes already. I'm timing you.
So sometimes we don't even really talk about how much more... We don't really talk about how old a person is. We talk about how long the person has been involved in the athletic activity. So when we consider all these type of ages, really, what's the best way to categorize young people entering sporting events? Is it by under 15? Is it by under 20? Is it by under 21 in their chronological ages? Or is it generally by advancing more scientific methods and grouping them in what most of these things don't have to, in terms of their training age, in terms of their development, and every other thing? So this way, it's, when we talk of catching them young, Mr. Dudu, that's what I decided that we should think about this. It's a topic of discussion. And this way, we don't have to start bothering ourselves whether people have changed their passports, or they're getting younger after 6 years, or they're getting older, or they don't even get old at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olympic champion. Please, we're going to just rest for like a minute and a half so they can switch to the big generator, please. So let's take a short break of a minute and a half. Thank you. Yeah. While the big gen is coming on, I'd like to announce the presence of Dudu's godmother, Mrs. Roselyn Egboge, former registrar of Uniben.
That with the change in the format of the Champions League, the club will probably be much more valued than the 5 billion or so, 5.5 billion that they want to sell it for now. So it's about the money. How do we, and if you look at our population, over 200 million, we used to flock to the stadiums before. I mean, if you ask me, and I'm sure Dudu and all the, I mean, I can't remember the last time I was in a room with my sister Nkechi. It's been a long time. To Jadeka, people that know sports inside out. I can't remember when I've been in such a gathering. It's been a long time. I could name Leventis United 1 to 11 in 1984 when I was in UI. But now I don't know who, you know, who aimed by the league champions. I don't know any of their players. So there's so many responsibilities. The new league under the former, you know, it was interim LMC now. I love what Honorable Elegbele has done, and now they're substantive. Maybe they're going to have to make a fist of it, because the truth about it is, charity starts at home. We always make a mistake at looking at the Super Eagles. We go around the world recruiting foreign-born Super Eagles, but they can never sweat tears and blood as Super Eagles that played at stadium will do if they get the chance to play for Nigeria. We have the population, we have the interest, we have the money, in spite of, you know, economic subsidy, I mean, first subsidy move and all that. So what I say, yes, there has to be a massive rethink of Nigerian sports, but it's going to take a change in mindset, both in the private sector and government. Government needs to relax a little bit, and the private sector to us be able to find out what value they can. I mean, Felix is right. What will it pay? I mean, because the truth about it, the MPFL without SuperSport is dead. They're talking about streaming. Why would I watch football on my phone when I can watch every other sport, Formula 1, cricket, every other sport on television? I won't bother. So I would love a situation where SuperSport and the MPFL, from our personal interest, can come back together.
Thanks, Egun. Pastor Ime James, could you look at the topic, catching them young?
Okay.
Start with that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Catching them young. What do we need to do?
We were caught young when we were boxing. We were caught young from Idiru. You know, so I think that it's important to catch them young. And I regret when the National Sports Festival changed from the junior, intermediate, and senior. And that was done last at Kaduna 77. That that schedule made it possible for a lot of young people to come into sports. Because I recall in Bender State in those days that, I was there, Charles Okolo was there, and then Ruben Azono was in the same weight categories. And the only reason all of us went for that event in Kaduna was because some of us were younger. And that created an opportunity for Bender to win, to clear the 3 gold medals in that category. Now, the point I am making is that if we can return back to school sports, catching them young will be easier. I mean, all of us are looking at football. What about boxing? What about boxing? What about judo? What about athletics? So I think that our Olympian was very, very correct when he said it was important for us to go back to it. But how do we categorize who is young and who is old? In these days of people cheating in their age strata. So I want to support that opinion that we should all go back to catching them young from primary school. Because I started boxing at the age of 8, 8 here in Idioro here. I don't want to mention the name of the person that brought me to it.
Thank you very much. So go back to the school sports. These platforms existed at some time. Now I'd like to hear from Ikena Okoli, SAN. There are 2 topics before you. So you want to quickly share. You have 1.5 minutes to share in between those 2.
Very well. One thing I picked up from what Ago said, well, it has to do with some collaboration. Fundamentals. We keep expecting, will I say, something to just magically happen. And what do I mean by fundamentals? He made a point. As we are today, I keep seeing NFF, Nigerian Football Federation. And I said, why are we so a country of just lawlessness? As we speak today, there's no law. There's no law. NFF. NFF is an illegal body. Nobody is talking about it. Who gives them money, how they take money, and all of that, I don't understand it. And we just keep moving as if we are just, oh, okay, it's all right. So if you don't get the fundamentals right, I look at it and I laugh. I said, can you imagine in the United States, the Congress saying they are making a law to do with the basketball association or hockey league? What is their business? What really is their business? Football, like he pointed out, is sports. However you want to clothe it, it's sports. And what is it? It is not, has nothing to do with, at least in Nigeria, constitutionally, it is not something to, it's not exclusive list, concurrent list. So NFF, even the NFA law itself, act itself, is actually an aberration. We have brought an action to strike it down, but that's a different story. So that's about fundamentals. We have to get the right things. When we form an association, properly so-called, then the right people, all the people who are working in sports, the Nkeshobis and the rest of them, yes, when you get it right, then every other thing, I expect every other thing to be right. And then individual sponsors. And then government, yes, will be there. Talking about security, yes. It has nothing to do with sports. We need to have security for every other endeavor. So it's not just isolated to sports. Then talking about catching them young.
You'll have to round up with that, please.
I learned a few things from the gold medalist about categorization of age. But I go back to, again, the illegalities of our system. At least for now, talking about rules. If we say the rule is, a competition is for under 17, for goodness sake, don't bring people who are 30 years old to come and participate in an under 17 competition. Whatever may be their emotional age, whatever may be their psychological age, I don't care.
Thank
the
you.
rules must be the rules. And you see,
Thank
that
you.
way, we will be able to do something. Because there's a reason why you have some of these age tournaments. And not when people are in their 30s, then you now expect them to. And when there's nothing we can achieve doing that.
Thank you very
so
much.
we need to
Okay,
review
now,
some of
Kole.
this.
Thank you very much. So let's hear from Babatunde Ogala, SAN.
Thank
just
you.
go through the two of them. Rethinking Nigerian sports and
Yeah,
catching them
rethinking
young.
Nigerian sports. And I want to take it from where the chairman stopped and go to Aguimu. And thanks, my learned brother Silk, for reminding us that NFF is a body that is unknown to law, like NBBF and all the sports federation. I'm incidentally involved in a couple of litigation across border on these issues. But, and that takes me straight to Aguimu, where you talked about compliance issues. And I think we need to remind ourselves that even FIFA, which we say is independent, is a registered body under the Swiss law. So it's subject to some governmental control because there has to be compliance. And so is the International Olympic Committee. They are not bodies that just exist in the air. They are regulated by certain laws, and they are laws of those respective countries. So by the same token, that Nigeria, we cannot but have same. But I want to talk from the perspective of somebody who runs a football club, for instance. I run one. And if anything, we do it just out of interest, not because there's motivation. I was also involved in the NFF elections. I was on the panel that conducted the elections. And what I take away from it, but before I go to that, I had also represented Lagos State on the Nationwide League, where my club plays. I was also involved in the attempt to resolve the issues they have in the MBBF. And what is my takeaway from it is that if we must rethink sports, we have to rethink ourselves as a people. Those who manage these sports, they are not necessarily government. The government has, as much as possible, attempted to hand over to the private sector. NFF, I saw the elections. I'm also a member of a political party. The kind of money that was being spent to buy delegates, we did not spend at our primaries in Benin. And that is the honest truth. Bayodosi was there. We're talking about $10,000 to each delegate. And you could see who won the election and who lost. The difference is clear. Who should be our NFF president. For the MBBF, there were two bodies fighting over leadership. Now I think FIBA has even suspended us. And the Ministry of Sports attempted to find a resolution. What did we have? FIBA says no government interference. FIFA itself is registered as a body under the laws of, say, a certain country. And yet here, they tell us there's no government interference, which we are unfortunately not even interpreting correctly. Like Ikena said, NFF, MBBF, Athletics Federation, they are all illegal contraptions. None of them has an existing law. None of them has a right to operate a bank account, and none of them has a right to seek sponsorship from anywhere. Because whatever bank account you are not legal personalities that can be sued. So we need to address that. Somebody,
Thank you.
I think it.
We're really pursuing for time. Our live
You're
stream-
talking about catching them young.
Yes, yes. Somebody has said go back to the school system.
Well,
Do you have something else to
I
say?
think it's not so much about the going back to the schools. Even in the British system where the academies thrive, it's not necessarily a school system. We must look at our peculiarity. I just came back from South Africa. I've been to Brazil. In Brazil, you go to Rio. Every open space is football. It's a religion. In Argentina, it is a religion. What do we need to do here? Without necessarily going back to the schools, the talents are all over the place. We must put together a mechanism. I agree the school system is already there, and it is still there. But we must put a mechanism in place to catch those on the streets. Most of those who play good football these days are not necessarily from the schools, and they are not necessarily outside the age.
Thank you, BK. Thank you. Thank you, panelists, for this first round. So we'll go into another round of discussions. I'd like to call on Nkechi Obi. Nkechi will be talking to us about repositioning Nigerian sports through infrastructure-led value chain development. Repositioning through infrastructure-led repositioning through infrastructure-led value chain development.
Okay.
You may want to just come somewhere where the camera can see you. No. If you come this way, they will be pleased you are backing them. So just stand.
Okay.
Okay, you can sit. So displace Felix.
Okay, so I can sit here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a mic. Yes, okay. Chairman, birthday boy. He's a youth. You're as old as you feel. So I've got 10 minutes, and I'm going to kind of do a little smack upside his head, because he told us that we were going to have a presentation, and now he's making us talk through something that actually we need yes, you need to actually see what's going on, where we've reached, and where we ought to be going. So, but let me take a cue from what has been said. The chairman made a few comments on this. I wasn't here for your presentation, but listening to everybody here, I get a feel for what you must have said, and then what Annie said about catching them young. So here's the thing. I'm a data person. We can speculate from now to tomorrow. Without data, you can't do anything. So let's first focus on where we are. You have to know where you're coming from before you know where you're going. And so I'm a business person. I'm a market-driven person. No sentiments about anything. So our current industry market size is between 450 billion and 500 billion naira. That's ridiculous. But that's where we are. And the bulk of it is primarily from sports betting. And then from media that's actually going. Felix has run away. But from media that's actually not going to events and activities that we've generated here, but going to other people. So there's a lot of whooshing sound, and the FX is going, right? But we've looked at it and said, if we put our ducks in a row, an annual investment, and please, no skepticism, it's possible. An annual investment of $500 million will deliver $4 billion annually in revenue. It's taken 6 years to find out how that can be done. But the issues that we have are, we've been perceiving sports from government angle only, primarily. We've not identified the economic opportunities. The private sector has refused, or not refused, the private sector hasn't been made to see where the business is, because we focused on going to attend international events. Let me make a confession here. And I tell people all the time, I really don't care if we go to the World Cup. I really don't care if we go to the Olympics. I really don't care if we go to the Commonwealth Games. Because you see, no one has ever been able to say, this is the value of an Olympic medal. Any, with all respect to you, it's a personal thing. There's no value really to the community. And sports is about solving social problems through business means. Which is why this morning, the buzz is about Caicedo going to Liverpool for 110 million, then deciding that he actually wants to go back to Chelsea. Nobody is talking about whether Caicedo has is going to win the APL or what have you. They are talking about why Liverpool is paying 110 million pounds for somebody. So let's first and foremost focus on what the issues are. And sports we have potentials. Nigerians are passionate about sport. We know what the potentials are. 200 million people. I hear you all talk about numbers. Mobile penetration 154 million. But what are the issues to consider? There are two legs to sports. Sports for development. Sports for development helps you to solve problems through industrialization, economic and social goals, markets. You create markets through professional sports. We are complaining about NFF and all of that and all of that. We keep looking at federal. The issue is that you don't even need federal for anything. The issue is that we've not looked at sports the correct way. Flip that pyramid that takes your elite athletes at the top to the bottom and takes your market base of pyramid to the top and allow gravity to help you to drop the money. What we've been doing is trying to get force gravity to go like this, to take money to the top, when all you needed to do is cater to the bottom of pyramid and take 100 naira from 60 million people every day, then you can train your top athletes. So can we try and flip that pyramid and find the 60 million of us who will never go to the Olympics, who will never go to the World Cup, or who will buy one jersey, who will buy one sneaker, who will buy one cap, who will go to one field and watch and pay 200 naira. Those 60 million people is who we should be looking at. But we've refused to look at them. We've invested in depreciating assets instead of investing in fiscal assets that you can increase the value and get something. So we've refused to invest in infrastructure. And instead, we hope we can find athletes on the main road. It's not sustainable, it's not scalable, and it does not deliver a market. But if we invest in infrastructure, so we go to a community and say we are putting a community facility here. There are 10 schools in this area, because I hear you all talking about, King's College ground, that's ancient thinking. The thinking now is, are there 10 schools in this area? And the middle of that Jalupon close is sitting there. So can I put a community facility there such that 10 schools can use that place? I will be able to see which athlete is coming through because it's sustainable. I will deploy facilities in more communities. So for us, when we were doing all of this, we identified gaps. You need 7,000 community facilities in this country just to be able to provide where 60 million people could play. You need 200 new stadiums because your stadium to population ratio is 1 to 5 million. South Africa is 1 to 700,000. Britain is 1 to 366,000. The UN tells us we should have 1 to 300,000. Therefore, even if we want to reach 1 to 1 million, we need 200 new ones. Nobody is talking about that. We'll be talking about national stadium. We don't even need that. Federal government has only 4. But as at last week, we were doing a scoping and planning exercise. We've identified dead assets or moribund assets, sports assets, in 13 states that cover 900 hectares. And nobody is looking at that. Nobody is saying which one can we convert to a multi-use facility? Which one can we convert to a manufacturing hub? Which one can we do this? If I say today, we talked about school sports here. Where is the School Sports Federation? How are we going to get people to play sports? You need to make a law or a rule that says every child must play sport twice a week. What does that do for you? And I'm not saying that from the point of view of, I'm saying that from the point of view of a market. I've told you I'm an Igbo businesswoman. So, what does that do for you? Immediately, you get 40 million children who are in school wanting kit, shorts, shirt, boots, and balls. No factory makes balls in Nigeria. So immediately what you will hear is dollars going to China. But if you did that, you could encourage somebody to come set up something. That's number one. Get every school. But where is education regulated? At state level. So it's not something the federal government can do. It's something the states should do. And so we've been talking to the wrong people. We should begin to talk to states. So where I am, my day job is CEO Sport Nigeria. My night job is NWFL chairperson. At Sport Nigeria, we decided that it's about infrastructure. And out of your 7,000 facilities that are required, we're deploying 3,000 in the next 10 years.
You have 2 minutes.
I'll round up. But we must answer the question, what will those facilities do? What those facilities do will be, one, provide space for those of us who will never go to the Olympics or the World Cup to play sport the way we want to experience sport. So in the evening, I have somewhere to go, and I can exercise, and I can pay 500 naira, and I can generate revenue, and the revenue starts happening because I'm catering to bottom of pyramid. When I do that, then the money there can help me create events, can help me create, encourage more facilities for me to now watch my events in a big place. That's number one. The second thing we have said we are going to do is when we come into a state and put in spaces for sport, that's our flagship project, we expect that commercial people will follow. So all those hectares we found now become commercial centers. And we can now build what we're calling venues and facilities to host sports and non-sports events. I'll give an example. Davido cannot play a 3-city tour in Nigeria. There's nowhere he can go. But we saw Wizkid go and play in Tottenham Hotspur. And yet we can't make the link between the fact that our musicians and artists cannot play here because there's no facility. And then understand that that is what we have to do. So we're encouraging the establishment of facilities geared towards multi-use, multi-purpose events, so that I can see Wizkid play 10 cities in Nigeria. I can see Davido play all of that, and so many other things. I would suggest that arising from this colloquium, because I'm a strong believer in there must be an output in what we are doing. Arising from this colloquium, the people here are all smart people.
Okay, sorry.
Yes,
you need to round up.
I'm rounding up.
Yes, please.
I would suggest that what we are doing here must lead to some kind of output that sees an investment in this. It's not enough for us to just talk and complain. I'm glad to hear that you are taking up the issue of the legality or otherwise of our federations. That is something that is necessary. We've taken up the issue of infrastructure. Can we also find people who will take up the issue of ensuring that regulations or legislation or investment or what have you is done? And
thank you,
come
Nkechi.
back here a year later
Thank
and
you.
still be where we are.
Thank you very much, Nkechi. Very insightful discussion, and the way that we had arranged the speakers, even as they arrived according to their own timings. But Agu spoke first about how we should reposition Nigerian sports. After him was the discussion about catching them young. And now Nkechi has spoken about infrastructure. And I believe that she has opened our eyes to the fact that in as much as we want to raise sportsmen and women, they can only perform if the infrastructure is there. And I'm so happy you said what you said about Davido. I was speaking to an American friend of mine who was very, very enthusiastic about what Afrobeats is doing. And I was feeling very proud. And he said to me, he said, but you know something? All of your artists are still not artists where music is concerned. So I said, what are you talking about? He said, you have 200 million people. The day you start having shows in Nigeria where 100,000 people sit to listen, then we will accept that you are a musical entity. But for as long as you have to come here to make money, sorry, you guys are still, you're small boys. I kept quiet. And I made a phone call to Obi Asika. Obi is not here. Is he supposed to be here? And immediately I mentioned it to him. Obi said, bro, that's the truth. That's the truth. So it's the infrastructure, whether in entertainment or in music, in sports, whatever. It's the infrastructure and gathering the local crowd. Because that American said to me, he said, thank God you Nigerians don't stay at home. If you are like everybody else, how many of you will go to a stadium in the UK to go and watch Davido? Because there won't be many of you. But because even in China, even in Siberia, there are many of you. That's why they fill the stadium. Thank you very much, Nkechi. To round this up, Tunji Adeyinka, you came in before almost everyone. But Tunji is going to speak to us about where the money is going to come from. So Nkechi has put the gauntlet down. It's going to cost us so much money. If we were talking about building 2,000 stadia, 7,000, yeah. I'm sure if you mention that to the president, he'll tell you, please, get out of, no, I'm saying if you even mention, you say, get out of my sight. I know. So Tunji is going to talk about sponsorship, and sponsorship means money. Where's the money going to come from?
Thank you very much.
You have 10 minutes.
Thank you for the precedence of sitting, which I think Kechi made that made that. So thank you very much. Congratulations, Dudu. I think it's only someone like Dudu that would turn his birthday into a colloquium where we speak about serious issues like this. Mr. Chairman, thank you for setting the tone for this conversation. And I think the discussions we've had so far have been very, very interesting. I was thinking, and I agree with you, Nkechi, I was thinking about how to frame this discussion just coming, but someone that I met this morning, I played tennis with, kind of helped me to frame the discussion, to speak about sponsorship and partnership. We just finished playing, and then we went to the changing room, and he had excused himself to take a very quick meeting during the game. So he came back, and then after the game, we sat down for a few minutes. And then he was telling me that he was defending a business case for a sponsorship to the CEO of his company. The price of this sponsorship is 500 million naira. And I know the property. The property has maybe about 7 sponsors at that category. So he was doing a business case to the CEO, the CFO, as to why that company, how the company would recover 500 million, yes, which they were spending. And we sat down for a few minutes, and by the time we finished, so he said to me, he said, I was able to make a case for 50%, which is we recovered 250. But by the time we sat down and then we had a discussion, we had ended up with about 700 million in terms of what he was going to get as a business case. And that speaks to the issue of partnerships, which is what I'm speaking about this morning or this afternoon. Because indeed, sponsorships over the years has tended to be more transactional, more you bring money, you do this, you go on. But it has evolved to partnerships. And that is why you have multi-year partnerships between companies and brands and sponsorship properties going to 40 years, 50 years, because it goes beyond a transaction. It is an involvement with the entire value chain. So if you're looking at sponsorship today from the framework of 10 years, 20 years ago, there's so many things that have changed. Those years, they used to be, if I want to use an analogy, is like dating. That you want to date a woman or a man. But today, sponsorship, in terms of the long term, is more of a marriage. And if you're talking about a marriage, there's certain things that you would allow in dating that you not allow in a marriage. Some of those things involve the compatibility of both parties. So, a sponsor is looking at the compatibility with the partner. If you look at Formula One, for example, and you look at the lubricant companies in Formula One, the lubricant companies in Formula One are not partnering in Formula One because they want their brands to be seen only. That is probably about 30% of the value. 70% of the value is in one, how can we use this Formula One as a test and research and development platform for our products? How can we use this as a test base to test our new products, to formulate the new products, because you are looking at a high performance sports. The same thing if you look at DHL and the same Formula One. DHL is a logistics company. So DHL is not looking at the branding on the cars in Formula One. That's probably 20% of the value. 80% of the value is in DHL integrating its system into the Formula One logistics system to show how they are the best logistics company in the world that can deliver Formula One races in any country by moving all the huge infrastructure and logistics that needs to be moved for each race. And indeed, within a week. And indeed, it is the fact that those things are delivered. But secondly, is also that they make money from delivering those things. So it's not just about the branding. So this, when I go to a company and I'm pitching a partnership to that company and I'm looking at branding, I'm looking at mention, these days I'm completely missing it. So that is why a company like Adecco, I don't know how many of us know Adecco. Adecco is an HR consulting company. Adecco is the number 2 when you talk about HR, right, all over the world. But Adecco has sponsored the Davis Cup for years. Adecco has sponsored the Premier League team for years. Why? Because Adecco is a provider of staffing and training and people development. And they need these platforms to show how they do that, not only to show, but also to build a way to integrate with all these massive platforms. The biggest event in the world that you can see will be the Olympics, for example, where you have 100,000 or millions of people working. If you understand that Adecco is the company that is working with the staffing and the private partnerships with all the staffing, temporary staff, then you understand that that company, one, is making money from that staffing operation, but it is also demonstrating how they have the best system for that kind of staffing. 3 is that they develop programs with these platforms to show that this is a program for youth employment, this is a program for technical employment, and so on and so forth. And they make money from those platforms. So there is no way that kind of company would come out or leave those partnerships. So it is important that we begin to understand that today, partnership or sponsorship is a marriage, is not a transaction anymore. That is why you see that there's a link in the DNA between the sponsor and the sponsee. And both of them are linked so much so that there are business transactions that are going on within the entire ecosystem. If you look at the payment companies, as far back as so many years where Barclays was sponsoring Manchester United, you could see that transactions that were going on for Manchester United, from card transactions And all those transactions were going through the bank. And at the end of the day, the revenues that the bank was making from those transactions were 2 times more than the amount of money they were paying for the sponsorship. So it's important for us to understand that these days, sponsorship must be well thought out if you want the partners to be truly interested in what you are doing. So the days of having one proposer to every company is not going to work anymore, because the needs of the different companies are different. So you structure your platform and understand that what you're selling is the ecosystems that you have, is the value chains that you have. The value chain that you have includes your fans. The fans have a value chain. The value chains that you have includes your property, which is your hospitality, which has a value chain. The value chain that you have includes your co-sponsors. So the way we were able to get from 250 million to about 600, 700 million for this gentleman was like, we looked at the property and we looked at some of the things that are needed by the property that this sponsor could provide at 20% less value than the service providers were currently providing. So if you shift to this sponsor as a business provider, you will get, the sponsor would make money from that transaction. The owner of the property is spending less money than you would have spent doing the business. And at the end of the day, it's a win-win for both properties. So, and it's become even more complex these days because we're talking about intangibles. We're now talking about productizing NFT. We're talking about tokens. We're talking about these products that are derived not from the physical or tangibles, but from intangibles. And the partnerships are in such a way that when I finish with the tangibles and intangibles, I am able to tell my board of directors.
You have 2 minutes, Tunji.
So, the entire journey has moved. We were trying to catch up on the old sponsorship metrics. Now it has moved from that. It's moved. So why would I, for example, tap into what Nkechi is talking to? I will sit down and look at a 5-year or 10-year plan. How many facilities? How many people are going to be in those facilities? The brands are now looking at attracting younger people. The demographics is younger. So who is going to be using these facilities? If I can guarantee that my brand will be in the hands of X million people across Nigeria over this period of time, then I would sign a partnership agreement, and you would not need to beg me to sign that agreement because it makes business sense. A lot of what we propose today do not make business sense. I'm sure that when we finish today, a lot of people will say, I want you to help me to sell this. It doesn't start with selling. It starts with what is the property. Sponsorships is a marketing practice. It's not sales. The role of marketing is to make sales easy. So I must build a product. I must invest in the product. After I invest in the product, then buyers will come for the product. I must look at the product as a platform or channel to enable commercial discussions for my partners, not just a place where you put logos and then you leave after the event. So these are very critical thoughts.
We'll bring it to you, Chairman.
That we must begin to put into play if we want to be serious about bringing the private sector into partnerships. Because money is not easy to get anymore. The companies are sweating to make their money. There are challenges that are within the market, so they are always going to be looking for the best commercial ways to structure their partnerships. I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you.
Yeah, but
the chairman would like to say something.
There's something you want to share.
there's something that is missing. All the presentations has been brilliant. They're talking to core issues. But all of us know here that it doesn't matter what product you have. It doesn't matter what you've designed. Tunji is like the brain box that puts it all together. And there's an aspect I want him to talk about which has not been touched on. Just 2 minutes. I want you to talk about corporate governance, credibility of the people handling that product, international best practices, and above all, accountability. I think this is the bedrock of whatever you're doing. Otherwise, just be shooting blanks.
Thank
2
you very
minutes,
much.
Tunji.
So we had discussions around the NFF and the different federations. So the NFF has found a way, a quasi-legal way to attract money, which is that the money comes and then they are then looking at, okay, if your money goes into this place, how is the money spent, and then how is it accountable? However, there are deeper issues around governance, because if I am going to put money as a corporate body in any sponsorship platform, I must first and foremost look at the governance structure of that platform. Governance means that who are the people that are responsible in this place? If I have any problem with my money and I want to go to court, if I get to that stage, am I able to sue you if we get to that stage? 2 is, are you accountable to someone? Or are you the person that signs all the checks by yourself? You're the only signatory to all the checks as a federation chair, for example. A lot of money has not flown into sponsorship properties because the governance is decrepit. Because when I look at money that I want to give to you, I am looking, and it doesn't matter. It could be 10 million, it could be 100 million, it could be 500 million. But when I look at this 500 million transaction, I'm telling you, there is on the other side a board of directors. That board of directors has a legal process that if something goes wrong, this is how I go to court. I'm not going to spend 10 years in court trying to recover what I want to recover. So the governance issue is very, very strong. Now, one of the challenges that we have with a lot of properties that we try to sell, which is why the people are doing things more on a private basis and leaving government out of it, is that with the private sector, you can build a board of trustees. You can build people who can be sued, and therefore I know that when my money is coming into this structure, these are the ways that I can get the money back. There's several issues also around accountability. So sponsorship money, when sponsorship money flows into your access, I don't really want to know how you spend it because you've told me how you are going to spend it. But if you have those who are collecting the money who hold themselves to a higher level of accountability by telling me how you are spending the money, and I can see that the money flow is not going to your cousins and your brothers, and your entire family is not the one that is doing, so the event is handled by your brother, the water is supplied by your sister, and so on and so forth. So in this kind of environment, so if you look at the classic case, if you look at the basketball case, for example, that we have a lot. Basketball is number 2 when you talk about mass sports for young people in Africa. Why is our basketball not attracting money? It's because first, you have a lot of fights which are amplified in the press, which corporate organizations don't want to be associated with. Number 2 is that the recourse, if there's any issue, I cannot hold any federation president accountable. So I would rather move my money to FIBA. I'll move my money to NBA. I'll move my money to all those. So it is important, as you've identified the issues with the law.
We're really
yes. It's
tight
important
for time.
to,
you need to round up in 30 seconds.
I will.
Yeah, we are live streaming, so we have a limited time.
I understand.
Sorry, we cannot because you spent 14 minutes already, and I need you to just wrap up.
So the wrap up
we
is
still have other
everything.
people who are speaking.
Let me wrap up.
No, wrap up in 30 seconds. So I don't have to. No. 30 seconds. Okay. Let's not argue again.
10 seconds.
Thank you very much, Tunji Adeyinka. Thank you very much. Thank you. Tunji, please just respect that. Please. Just.
Okay, sorry. Yes, Shola, thank you very much. I was going to say that the discussions that we have had about what needs to be changed by these lawyers, they need to move that discussion forward. That is a simple thing, right? And if those things are moved forward and the laws are properly enshrined, then you begin to have a better governance system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm a moderator. I'm limited by time. We're live streaming. Sorry. Yes, I'm trying. You should know. Oh. Thank you very much. We have one more speaker, and we're going to be off air. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a black Jeep LSR 948 FQ, a black Jeep. Please, somebody needs to leave. Thank you. Before we move on to our last speaker, we just need for the panelists to discuss what Nkechi and Tunji have spoken about. This is a limited time event, and we've been on it for about 2 hours now. We're on a live stream, and we have just about 15 minutes left and other things. The purpose of this is to set the tone for more discussions where we will have more time. Yes. Okay. I'd like to invite Godwin Enahena, who is the chairman of Sporting Lagos. Godwin is going to talk to us about media, possibilities and benefits for sports. Godwin, you have 10 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Godwin Enahena. I want to start by saying that I've been listening to a lot of persons here, a lot of them that I know very, very well. You know, I've always said that the problem of sports in Nigeria has nothing to do with Nigeria not having the right or the best persons to handle sports in our country. We have them everywhere you turn. Is it from Dudu, who went to Benin City with high hopes, you know? I remember when he sent me a message and he said he was shutting down Sports Shacks because there was a new adventure, and that was an opportunity he's been waiting for to make a difference in his own state. I worked for him many times. When I became one of his confidants, he will call me to say he wants to throw in the towel, and I'll say, Dudu, don't go. What they are looking for, they know your temperament. They want to push you so that you will jump. Wait for them to push you. He's gone. He's come back, richer in experience than ever before. No money, I can say that. I remember his first office in Benin City. An insult, but he took everything. The media kept quiet. My consistency kept quiet. We didn't say anything. The media has been cowed completely. It's now bread and butter journalism that we practice. Sad reality, unfortunately so, because of Nigeria, our country. They say we now chase stomach infrastructure. as it were. Recent experiences that I've had to go through. And we talk about the league, we talk about government. Government is the biggest problem of sports development in this country. We run away from it. I don't know why we pay lip service to what is real, what is true. Today's reality says that only an abridged league can happen in our country. For instance, as chairman of a football club, I will not go to Zamfara. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to go through that fear of being kidnapped or something. In a system that is still, at best, we say professional. I don't know why we use the word professional. We are playing what I called John football. That's what it is up to this minute. We got into a meeting in Abuja recently to do what? To decide what format we want to play. In my mind, it was an abridged league. It's easier for everybody. Eyimba has not paid salaries for 6 months. Lobby Stars has not paid for 7 months. And you're saying we should play 38 games? How? The media kept quiet. Everybody wants to travel. Out of 20 club sides in Nigeria in the Premier League, 17 of them are run by governors at their whims and caprices. Sometimes it's their wives that will run these clubs. You stand in front of Wike as a governor then, and you are the club chairman. He has just appointed you. The first thing he wants to hear is that, sir, I'll bring the trophy tomorrow. You make that mistake of saying, okay, give me 3 months. It will tell you, get out of this place. He gives you a job on Monday, you have to win on Tuesday. And people say, why is there corruption? Why are they beating referees? Why are they fighting? It's about winning at all costs. Another experience, we saw Nigeria Super 8. I happened to be the lead consultant on that project. Never in my life did it occur to me that we can have people at the stadium. Those that were on the outside were more than those that were on the inside. We were overwhelmed. They pulled down the tennis side of it, the fence. They pulled down the gate. The president of Nigerian Football Federation, I got to be there, said to me, Godwin, this is the first time that you have to struggle to get into a stadium. Suddenly, all the sponsors, Super Sports, all of them are saying, we cannot wait for next year. Sadly, the facility, Oniko Stadium, couldn't even host that competition. We're not talking about. The media is silent. You can't even park. The stadium is so small. I'll talk about Sporting Lagos. 4,005, yes. Sad reality. The VIP is 47 people only. I made a lot of enemies because everyone wanted to get in there. And I kept saying we only have 47 seats. My wife and kids couldn't. They were outside for over 45 minutes. Now, let's talk about Sporting Lagos. I never thought that we'll find Nigerians who will pay 500,000 to watch a National League game. We have 7 booths at the Oniko Stadium. We find young people, tech people, who have gone on social media, who have learned a thing or two of what they stand to gain. When you sit down, you have a booth, you and your family, your friends, you can transact business. There's a big screen, of course, AC tight and everything for you to come and enjoy football. I never thought that a young Nigerian could pay 50,000 to watch an NNL team. By the special grace of God, Sporting Lagos under my watch got to the Premier League. Now, the young man, thank you very much, the young man who is just 38 years old, Shola Akinlade, co-founder of Paystack, is building a stadium inside Landmark, and is 85% complete because of what media has done, telling the world what it is. And the young man is excited. When he came to Nigeria, when he called me from the US, I told him, I said, forget it. I told him all the negatives in Nigeria. You know what that young boy said to me? He said, that is the more reason he wants to get involved. And today, everyone is talking about Sporting Lagos. But Nigerian Premier League, we had a meeting a few days ago. They don't have a sponsor. They didn't have a sponsor last season. The 10 million that was given to clubs came from an individual or an organization, GTI. GTI sold the seeds. They are not sponsors, they are partners. This term, they have said they don't get money to give anybody. And we want to run a 30. You find the media, find some persons who don't even understand what it takes. A British league is crazy. A British is mad. Clubs can't pay salaries. It takes on the average 4 million naira for me to go to Gombe. Where would that money come from? How long will Sporting Lagos run when you're even going to Gombe to lose? You can't even win. We have streaming of games. A young man called me from England yesterday. He was telling me, he said, what's streaming? He said, what Propel is putting up is meant for analytical something. That is not for coverage of matches. But the Nigerian Premier League has signed a deal with them without even carrying along the club owners. And I've said, we're going to Abuja on the 17th. We're going to fight a war. You can't shave my hair behind me. It's a new dispensation. By the grace of God, I happen to be the new General Secretary of the Club Owners Association. By election, not selection. I got 16 votes out of 20. I wasn't selected, I was elected. We are going to Abuja. It is about time we should stand for what is our right. A lot of us don't know the truth. There's so much misinformation in the media. The media now runs with whatever is garbage in, garbage out. I now belong to the media where someone wakes up and he says, he calls someone who is a neophyte in the business, godfather of Nigerian football. A man who used to kick cows somewhere. Opportunity comes and he becomes godfather of Nigerian football. Toby Amuson is suffering today. 3 missed tests. It's criminal. It's not believable. You can't. There's no excuse for it. We all know that. The media is silent. You were president of the Athletic Federation. NFL told me many years ago. He said there's no elite athlete who will fail a test and didn't do it intentionally. Easy. I'm saying it before him. Toby missed 1, 2, 3. The media is quiet. The strongest tool, the strongest weapon, a medium that should educate. We are all silent. Why? Nigeria is on the A list of countries that dope. Yes. So it means that your athletes have to be tested out of competition, as it were. The media is silent. We're not talking. Instead, we are praising Sheudiko. So that's what you hear every day. The main issues, the kind of journalism that we practiced many years ago when we were growing up is no longer there. Well, the media plays a huge role in the promotion of marketing and the growth of what? Sport, because we are restricting ourselves to sport right now. We don't play this role anymore. We are now like Dr. Amos Adamu said, the media can have their say, that they will have their ways. So the media just talks. Whatever it takes, we'll just take it. Let me tell you something. I was called once. They said I would come and be the media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I told Amaju Pinnick that he was mad. I'm sorry to use that. I said he's mad. I said at my level, I've been a club chairman. From NLO, NLL Premier League, you say I should come and be media officer of Super Eagles. I don't know what you don't understand. You don't know what you're saying. Amaju, I used to take you into the stadium many years ago. Some of us are bigger. If we get to a position in life that there are certain things that we are bigger than, it's not about money. We all need money. If you cannot speak and stand for the truth, even though you have to choose your fights, we'll be where we are today. So I conclude by saying that The biggest challenge we have in this country is the silence of the media. Number two, government is holding on to sports in our country. They refuse. Some people are saying that government will not, has refused to let go. Why? With government, senators must go to the World Cup. Let me say for free here, I don't fear nobody. What the Super Eagles need at the World Cup is no more than 200 million. Because everything has been taken care of by FIFA. But the president takes it to the National Assembly. And he says to us, come on, change it to 2 billion. He changes to 2 billion. The first tranche that will be released by government will be 100 million. Those guys at the assembly will take out 70 million. And they give Amaju 30 million. He can't talk. The media knows this. My colleagues, Dudu knows. We are silent. And we say government is not a problem. Let government allow 17 football clubs in a Premier League that's supposed to be professional. Only 3 are privately run. Kunle Shoname, Shola Akinlade, and Suleiman Umar. We had an election in Abuja where we tried to force the private clubs into having a say. They overwhelmed us. We just left in anger. We have streaming contracts. Sporting Lagos has streaming contracts. Shoname has streaming contracts. The MPFL just came and said, we have signed a deal with Propel. We own this property. You don't own any property. We went to Spain to study football management. What we saw in Spain is not what we are doing in Nigeria. The MPFL is supposed to be answerable to the clubs. But in Nigeria, they just give us instructions. And you must, at our last meeting, I wanted to talk. I wanted to stop and say, hey, you are supposed to be you are working for us. I must finish my. And they were clapping. I said, it's not clapping. I just told him the truth. Elegbele is chairman of the league. He doesn't own a football club. He has not put 1 naira in the club. We are the ones who are putting monies in our club sites. So I beg you in the name of God. I started by saying that I've looked at everyone here. I have seen people can make a difference. Barrister Agu and I did something. I was second vice president, and you were first vice president of an organization called Ambassadors in Sport many years ago. Revenilo was our chairman. A young man, a criminal, got $10,000. He went to rent a house in Festac. Agu and I said, we'll beat him. And we're ready to beat him. I've done quite a lot. I've done so much in my little ways. That's why I said, I've looked at everybody. Let us stand up and speak with a voice. If we don't, we will not live well. Look at the embarrassment. FIPRO getting involved in pay the girls their monies. The height of what? Big shame on Nigeria.
1 minute, sir.
Once again, I said, I'm saying to us, Emenike Agu and Co., we are the media. A lot of us have moved beyond being journalists to what? Being administrators. We still have to train the younger ones who are coming. Paul Bassi told me something many years ago. He said, it's either you are an apologist or you are what? You are a critic. Don't stay in the middle. A lot of us are staying in the middle. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Ben, thanks for reminding him about the time. Yes, it's still on. We've negotiated. Okay. Yeah.
I told Dudu when he was appointed in Edo State that I would not congratulate him until he finished the job because I knew what he was going to face. And I have not congratulated him up to this moment. He's enriched and better for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have four of you gentlemen. So we've had three speakers. We've had Nkechi, who has spoken about infrastructure. It's going to cost us a lot of money. Tunji has spoken about how we need to rethink how we speak to sponsors. You'll recall that before the gentleman from Multisports had left, he had said, had given us the reasons why they don't find it profitable to cover Nigerian sports. That's in spite of hundreds of millions that have been spent by the telcos and some other companies, ITU. I think between those three, they probably have put in possibly almost 2 billion naira into football. Ken Ezaga is not here. Ken has a platform where he talks about how we need to rethink the issue of sponsorship, the issue of media, and Godwin has spoken about that. So, Shegun, take your pick from where you want to talk sports. We've spoken about infrastructure development, spoken about media, which is your forte. We've spoken about sponsorship and how we need to rethink sponsorship. Actually, in international parlance now, there's nothing like sponsorship. It's partnership. That's the new thinking. Ben, can we have the microphone, please? The microphone. To Shegun, then we'll go to BK.
First things first, Mr. Chairman, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I've been a long-time fan, and I can assure I'm going to collect your phone number after this and continue to harass you for your knowledge. And as I will do with Tunji, as I'll do with Enobong, has been on our program, on our platform for Nkechi. I need to drag you there, Tunji. So I'm here for my, but mostly I want to complain about who dragged me under false pretenses, because by now I came here to drink trophy and eat meat. And I didn't know this is such a highfalutin discussion. My head is cracking, you understand? Because, seriously, but it's an amazing set, very versatile conversation. And I think I'd like to, I hear what Godwin has said, and he's made a lot of points. But maybe that's where I'll start first, being a member of the media. Like Godwin, I have a program on radio called Sports Zone. And we like to think of ourselves as a bit eclectic in the sense that we tend to do our own thing and see things from our own unique perspective. I hear what Godwin says about being either a critic or what you call it, an apologist. But I do think at times, you can't flail away at the government all the time. At times they do some things right. You can't just say, just for the fun of it, you just want to set yourself up in opposition. At times, okay, fine, they've done things right. But at the end of the day, it's your job. It's your job to do things right, So at times, one of the best governors we've ever had in this state, for instance, was Babatunde Raji Fashola. And why we all love him was he did his job at the end of the day. He just did his job, and he went about it quietly and unobtrusively. So unfortunately, we have a lot of people in place, administrators, Minister of Sports, NFF, they're not doing their jobs. I mean, we all seen the disgrace that's going on in Australia. In fact, on Sports, why the NFF has turned themselves into, perennial debtors, I don't get it. They just love to, yet you see some people defend them and say, well, I mean, why will you hire a white coach if you can't afford to pay salary? I had a conversation with Dimola Lajiri on our platform where he said if you pay peanuts, then you get monkeys. And I said, no. There's something like that, cut your coat according to your size. You don't have to. You can't get local coaches to do the right job. Just empower them. So it's a delicate balance. So we try on our platform not to just flagellate, lash out at everybody, but we pick and choose our battles, and where it's right is right. I mean, I love what Godwin spoke about, the Toby Amushon story, for instance. I love Toby Amushon to bits. She came on our program. I love her like rags to riches story, and I cannot believe what has befallen her. But as we've all rightly said, you miss one drug test, you miss two, you miss three,
there's something wrong there. But what are we going to do? We all know what happened to Blessed Okagbari, to who I used to love to bits. You know, so where are you left? Do I now want to come out and start accusing Toby Amusha of criminality when we don't really exactly know what's going on? We cannot assume she's innocent to proven guilty. Obviously, I know it looks astounding. You miss 3 drug tests, but hey, the trick, well, as I said, you know, you athletes will know. It's really unfortunate because I met her personally and they really, really like her. You understand? And it's such a great shame, you know, because everything she has done has been cast into doubt. But all the same, I'll just say the media, yes. Sorry? You know, what I will say, trying to round up on the media side, is that, yes, the media, and I get what Godwin says, there's some people, they sit in front of their laptop and they come up with stories, but it gets to a stage in life. I'm 61 now, you know, so there's some things and I wanted to sound impressive. I'm so sorry. Ogado Vex. I did. And a lot of what I know today, I learned it from my brother Dudu, you know. He's been like a mentor to me. Nkechi too. You know, there was a time Nkechi and I were doing some stuff. She would write the proposals, I would do the legwork, because, I beg, you understand? You know, but I sabi hustle those days. And in fact, when she was sitting here, you know, talking about pyramid, my mouth was open. If I call myself drooling, say, hey, this woman hasn't changed. But at the end of it, she's right. You understand? So, you know, we need to look for value in what we're doing. And just like my senior school, up I say, you know, wherever there's a Negobian, there's also a noble Nigerian. Sorry about that. I do that everywhere. No vex, so those will not go Ibobi. Yeah. Yes, cool. So, people that couldn't get into Ibobi went to Balede. So, but what I'll say is, I love what both Tunji and Nkechi said. You know, one thing I learned too about sponsorships as well, is that your brand has to be, I think the word I'd like to use is symbiotic. You know, not dating. I love the analogy. Not dating, but a marriage whereby they come together literally for life, where both of them have the same ideas. There has to be that unique level of compatibility. So for me now, going forward, if I'm reaching out to, you know, a potential sponsor, I'll look at what are your needs, how can we cater for them, and how can we work together for the long haul. You know, that's where corporate governance and, everything has to be, you dot your I's, you cross your T's, and you move forward, and you avoid, what you call it, strict liability, you know, not getting caught with your pants down, literally and figuratively. So basically, sorry, but basically, I saw Godwin Abeg, take a miss on the media. We are not that bad. We're not all that lily-livered. Some of us can see the truth and say it. I get what a lot of our colleagues may want to play because of the thing where they go chop. It doesn't give them sense. You know, but you get to an age where you just look at it, you know. Now, I'll tell the truth, no matter whose ox is God. Thank you.
Thank you. Babatunde Ogala, please.
Thank you very much, moderator. Aburo, sorry when you said 61. I always thought he was older, but he gave himself up tonight. So I won't venture mention mine before somebody some people call me Aburo too. You are an Aburo, you I know, you don't talk. You know, by Oga, but I know. Well, as a lawyer, yes. He's my junior at the bar, will carry the file behind me. Do you not get mad for this one? So 65 apart. But let me quickly say what my takeaway is from all of this. Corruption in sports. Call it compliance, call it whatever name you call it, corruption. But unfortunately, we have all thrown barbs in different directions. The media, the government. How about those of us in the industry? I'll give you an example. I run, sorry sir. I run a football club. We play in the Nationwide League. I have a son he runs Eagles Tracker. Maybe you know Eagles Tracker is does branding, especially for the female national team. Is my son. When he's on holidays, he joins us in training. He's also a train coach. He went through a coaching course and the Ontario Under-15 team. He's also an assistant coach there. He's just 25 now. Now, Ayo comes home. He calls me one day during the Under-20 World Cup. And he said, Daddy, the Nigerian goalkeeper is uncle or an Under-20 goalkeeper, who was my club's goalkeeper, Valley United goalkeeper. And he says, Uncle Loramadi, I said, shh. It's not to my coach and whoever was managing the team. They wanted to make it an Under-19. I made it a policy a few years ago that if you are more than 21, don't attempt to play for us. Suddenly, all my ex-Y players became 17-year-olds. And I called them, I said, at 17, you can't sign a professional contract. The following week, the same 17-year-olds had become 20-year-olds. You know, but what am I taking out of this? That in itself is corruption. Nkechi has talked about infrastructure, developing infrastructure, and she's talked about community playgrounds and whatever. I was just telling Shola on the side here, I just got back for this purpose. I came back this morning from South Africa. I went to have the African Bar Conference. And when people were doing city tours and whatever, I said, let me even look at your sporting facilities across board. And I wanted to see the small ones. All playgrounds, whether some people were playing rugby, cricket, or something, even as small as this place. But what was my takeaway? It wasn't all about the government. It was about CSR by some, and some were even fee paying. In the estate where I live, he knows, some know, we have a small astroturf, and a pool where our children play every day. We also left it open. You can pay to play. And on Saturdays, you may even need to book 2 weeks in ahead to come and play there. Osime, when he had an interview with my son's program on Instagram, and said, Garden, that's where I used to come and play football. I tell people Osime was my boy, the Osime, not the 22, 3-year-old in Napoli, the older one that I know. But that is so much for the sportsmen, corruption. Then we go to the sports administrators. The coaches collect money from players, and it's across board. Not just in football, athletics. The managers collect bribes from coaches, the administrators, above all, the sponsors. The sponsors, we can say all the niceties, I want to please them is what they want to see. Dan Ingerem, if you go to certain organizations, including the big telecom companies, they say they want to sponsor you with 100 million. You are going to return 40 million to some persons in there, despite all the corporate governance contract we sign every minute. They send it to us by mail, by the minute, by the second, full disclosure. The full disclosures are there, but these are the realities. So, then the media. Somebody has talked about what the media would report. Yes, if I want the media here, and that is why when we even have events like this, the media coverage you will not likely get whether you are going to do or not. If they are at the door there, if you don't drop anything, forget it. And you can tell them what you want them to write. So it's a systemic problem in all of us. It's easy for us to blame government. We've said everything we have to say about government. In some other climes, government is deeply involved. Premiership, it may not be as obvious as it is here. It may not be as obvious. I just give you my example, my experience with the NFF election. But you ain't been in with us. Unfortunately for and Ike Malik, both senior advocates of Nigeria, and 3 others who they appointed. So I say it was unfortunate. And you need to see the pressure on who to return, how we should conduct it. that somebody even said, the secretary of the NFF was telling us, and I said to him, no, we own this process called election. It's not your property. And all the horse trading, the shenanigans that were going on, they were as much as $10,000. And I say this with all, I'm an APC member now. I know how much we pay for primaries. What will be the difference? You know, but you see, so the issue of corruption is something that is in, you found ways around it. You found ways around it. You know, you may have factored it in your lawyer's fees or wherever you factored it in, but you found a way around it. So we must also, rather than complaining, find a way around some of these issues. A few years ago, I was nominated to represent. First and foremost, this meeting was fixed for 10 p.m. somewhere in Lokogoma. Persons that were sitting as the Congress of NLO was so bloody low that I just was going, there's people who can be having a good discussion here. They're going, there's people who can be having a good discussion here. There you could not have had. At the NFF election, that we talk along, if you, the most topical issues, and I'm sure if you sponsor check, you will form a service organization, you can run your AGM in 30 minutes. When it comes to the issue of finance, NFF is the first time in my life at an NFF Congress where the president said, audited report. Anybody has anything to say? So we have a motion to pass it. Yes, no. That was the end. That was the end. So those who might have been, I'm sure some of you were at that Congress in Benin City. That a financial report from amongst us. He built his profile. That's okay.
30 seconds, sir. Just 30 seconds to round up.
Okay.
So,
I just leave it at that. And I say, in my humble opinion, one major problem of our sports is corruption. And it's inherent in all of us. We need a reorientation. Thank you.
I cannot stand here as chairman of this occasion and take a blanket characterization of Nigerians as corrupt, because there are good people in the system. And you can always resign an appointment. And I can give you a quintessential example. When I was president of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Mobile used to sponsor it for 20-something million, but the check they gave, Mobile used to sponsor it for 20-something million, but the check they gave exactly manifestation of the brand that is for ExxonMobil then. The same thing, Tunji Adeyinka is sitting here for MTN. You can always walk away if things are untoward. I remember walking to the MTN MD, and they started this thing about Nigerians being corrupt. And I had to write MTN and say, if anything went wrong, I, Danungaram, will refund that money to the penny. Nkechi Obi is here. She's done things the way she works. You cannot tell me that she's, if corruption was the index or the definition of what she was doing, she won't be working that hard. What I'm saying in effect is that there's corruption all over the world, but it takes us as people, as persons, to decide what you want, the lines you are not supposed to cross as an individual, and it is worldwide, it's humanity. But to define us ab initio as corrupt, the entire gamut of Nigerian sports, I don't think I, as chairman here, will stand and take it. No, it's that. So you spoke for, no, you said the entire value chain. Okay, maybe it was a misquotation, but I thought it's important that we clear it. There are a number of Nigerians that work so hard, and then it's up to you to define what you want. And at times also, we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. Lagos is 20 million people. You don't even add Ibadan. That's 45 minutes away. Accra is only 2.6 million. Not the size of Surulere. So we would have problems of 20 million people in a small city surrounded by water. So let's not use a blanket characterization of Nigerians as corrupt. With due respect to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Leonard Silk. Thanks so much, Mr. Chairman, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. I believe most statements here were not directed at anyone. It was directed at the industry as a whole. So not directed at any particular individual or any particular sport. It's just the individual. Sorry, it's just the... As an Igbobian, yeah, no problem. But we know you guys learned it from Gregorians. That's all right. Right. To make it a little bit more robust, we have like 30 minutes to go, after which we'll shut down everything. We want to give the general members an opportunity to say one or two things, so it's not like they were just spectators. Okay, if you don't mind, let people who haven't spoken speak, please, please. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a stranger amongst you, but still I'm not a stranger. I'm from the entertainment business. No, can't work 20 seconds. I'm from the entertainment business, and I've been close to the business of sports for a while. And most of the opening ceremonies of your National Sports Festival I do handle as the director of the opening ceremonies from 2006. And I've been handling that. So what's the link between entertainment and sports? That's what I think the corporate people should leverage on that. What they think is entertainment and sport is bringing Two-Face to come and play on the opening ceremony or during anything. I think we should think more about what she said, the internal tourism between sports and entertainment. We should not always be looking at what they bring from the internal. How much can we get from the sports and entertainment? It's not just about dancing. Yeah, it gave me 20 seconds. Okay. Like, is not aware now. We've been working on something for Sporting Lagos. He's not aware. I'm meeting him for the first time. To come and meet you. So I don't need your phone. You are bringing quality to the table. And I've learned from what he said. He has told us what to go with. Just call me Babane, including Dudu.
A core Arsenal supporter.
You know, gentlemen and ladies, I just wanted to add the domestic law in Nigeria that relates, if you are not a legal person, you can't do business, okay? If you're not a legal person, how can you be doing business? So it's some form of charity or just some abuse or the other, okay? So those are things which have to be dealt with. Also, it also means that, like FIFA is not registered as it's registered under the laws of Switzerland, in the same way that the NFF should actually be registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission, under the laws. So we're not talking about government like Federal Republic of Nigeria, National Assembly. No, we are saying that we should actually be doing business as legal persons in Nigeria, okay? Either we are incorporated as limited liability companies, or companies limited by guarantee, or companies limited by, or just a direct human being. A direct human being is a legal person, okay? A natural person. But you can't have a situation where a body which is meant to have, has no power, it has no life, and it is doing business. That's why people don't want to do business with us in sports.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, the hand has been up for a while. It's a very special person in the house. Her name is Dr. Evelyn Orobo. She's a 1971 ex-international and Commonwealth sprinter.
I'm standing on existing, uh, an existing protocol. Actually, it's 1970, not 70. Yeah. I feel very privileged to be in your midst because I can't be, I can't believe that I'm actually here in the midst of all the gurus in the sports world, knowing that what I am today was created by what I experienced as being caught young in sports. I entered Hussey College in 1965 at the age of 12 going 13. So, by 1966, the following year, I was discovered to be a very good sprinter. And between 1967 to 71, I had the opportunity to become the best sprinter in Nigeria, junior sprinter. I actually went to national camp, international meet, accumulating in the Commonwealth Games in 1970. When I finished Hussey College, 71. Then I went into Unilag, but I must confess I really didn't like to train. That was one part of me, so I ran away. But I not without being involved in what they call it, Nuga Games and West African Games and all that. But immediately I finished school, I stepped away completely till God somehow discovered me. And that's why I'm just sitting here, I'm fascinated. But the issue really is about catching them young. Catching them young, I was caught young at 13. And for the 6 years I was in Hussey College, I went through the rank. If only I was good at practice, I probably would have been a world champion, but I was very lazy. Very lazy, I must confess. But I know Rwanda then did all it did to make sure it brought out the best in me. Please, we need to go back to catching them young. My children were a disaster. They never loved sport. But I have a 6-year-old grandson who I look at him and see him as a potential sprinter if only he can find the right environment, which is not existing right. So please, look at this issue of catching them young very critically. I don't think states should go and buy people at the age to come and win laurels for them, instead of missing the actual thing of developing the potential of children in secondary school who have everything going for them, like I did. I'm 71 this year, and I think being in sports actually also builds that strength in me to go on till now. Thank you very much for being in this.
Thank you so much, ma. Auntie, wait. Somebody has just whispered in my ear what all of them have been afraid to do. They want you to do it authoritatively, to tell Dudu to sit down.
Oh dear. No, he knows. I know he's my younger brother. We know that. Let's not. Yes, so we shouldn't rub it in. Thank you very much.
All protocols duly observed. Here's the thing. I have a comment on. So I've listened to all the problems. You know, every time we gather, we first of all go through the problems. There's no one who doesn't know the problems. And I'm going to start with my brother Godwin. Media goes beyond the journalists reporting stories. As far as I'm concerned, the journalists reporting stories are probably like 10%. Today, user-generated content, player-generated content is probably 90%. Tomorrow's audience is from people who are like 13, 14 today, and they are not reading the newspaper or anything. My daughter is more well informed than me. She doesn't read any newspaper. She knows everything. She can analyze football better than everybody. So the media, for me, the problem of the media will be solved when you focus on user-generated content and then leave everybody else to sort out. That's the first thing. It will be solved when you deploy all the available media, content development, social media, digital media, and all of that. That's the first one. Secondly, the issue of corruption that SAN here mentioned. Look, there's nowhere there isn't corruption. Let me use the Weightlifting Federation, International Weightlifting Federation. I think you know what's going on with them. The president stayed there for nearly 50 years. He took a crowbar to practically remove him. They haven't recovered from the effort to remove him. The guy was doing anything he liked. My point is that dry dog sweet to chop. But wait till we go chop till the dog dry. So sometimes you go just do like this, get into the system, stick to your, but you can't change anything from outside. And I found that out. For years, I was on this side of the divide. I'm matching leg, that it must happen. But it took, look, there are 4 members of 13 people. It took us 13 years ago, in 2010, Tunji, Shegun, Dudu sat inside here and came up with a 13-page blueprint that was to culminate in the national sports industry policy and culminate in the body I now have the privilege to head. At that time, we didn't know how it was going to happen. 2 years after, exigencies of, life, made 11 out of the 10 out of the 13 drop out, and 3 people carried it. But there were people like Tunji kept adding, he will come, add, go. What I'm saying is, you must be inside to make change. Secondly, you must also learn to leave waiting the right for bus, enter bus. As long as the bus, you will get the bus to the destination. Thirdly, you must be consistent and focused on a sustainable, scalable plan. What happens with a lot of us is we do start something, we go tire, and we walk away. So there are many small initiatives that have been abandoned, similar to all the facilities I found when I went through 13 states. And lastly, you must also know when it is time to allow somebody else to carry your dream forward. That's what I've done with the board I currently have. No one closes any door to me when I walk into any organization today. They see my chairman and they say, and I needed him to take us to the next level. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, KK. Right, we have exactly 15 minutes to go. So I'm going to do 1 minute, and we'll round up. Mr. Ekena, please.
Okay, so I'll keep it within 1 minute. Talking about solutions, I saw some people thumbing themselves maybe about the high schools or the secondary schools they attended. I will tell you something, maybe talking about solutions. Last 2 weeks ago, in Enugu, the alumni of the College of the Immaculate Conception dedicated a 1 billion naira multi-sports complex. You need to see it. That is my school. Yes. No. Talking about solutions. You need to see it. The basketball court, the football, the track, everything. International standard. So I imagine that a number of schools can then key in and be using those facilities under some sort of arrangement, because we are talking about solutions. So I think if some of us could go back and in our various alumni and all of that, and then begin to think about this, what we can do. So it's not just about we keep complaining without adding any value. We need to add value. And then, of course, the issue of corruption. What I will simply say is that when we kind of, is there. I will tell you something. There was an essay, General Counsel of this day wrote some years ago, said, oh, saving the judiciary. And I responded, published an essay in response. I said, no, saving Nigeria. You cannot divorce the judiciary from Nigeria. You cannot divorce sports industry from Nigeria. So it's all about us. Look at the man in the mirror and do the right thing.
Thank you, Leonard Silk. Pastor, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I have to quickly run. Everybody has suggested what, or have said what it ought to be. I just want to move a motion that there should be a committee formed to put every discussion here, please, and work on making the situation better. I've listened to the two sons speak about the legality or illegality of some of the associations on some of the issues. I've listened to Godwin Enekena, even though he was promoting Sporting Lagos. I am also here to promote stationery stores. So, international, Iyoni. So I just want to ask that, so that we don't end up like the typical Nigerian situation. We talk, come back the next year and talk again. Can we just move that this committee be formed and then put documents together, put the names of these people that are here today in a particular platform where we can all look at the decisions that they have taken and can move it forward. If we need to go to court to do things, we go to court to do those things. Thank you very much. And I have to run. Ups to pastors.
No. Yes, we're rounding up. Right. Thank you so much. I don't. Oh, you like to speak? Okay. All right. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay. My name, I'm Mrs. Rosalyn Egboge. I just want to talk in the area of talent hunt. So far, we seem to talk about hunting talents in terms of the sportsmen, but there's an area where Dudu has an experience getting people into sports, the right personnel and the right type of people in terms of technicalities, analysis, and people who will drive sports forward. I know Dudu was a barrister, and he was hunted, and chairman of the National Sports Commission, who became minister, Tony Kazabo. And because they saw in him the zeal and the drive and tireless energy for sports and sports activities. So they set up aside the barrister in him. Tony Kazabo says he wanted him in the National Sports Commission. He was brought in, and I think it gave him some pep to continue along that line than just going back to the legal aspect of it. So I want us to also think of hunting for persons who will make the difference inside, driving the sportsmen and the sportswomen forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. I don't know how you handled your godson for this long, and you have stayed sane. But I'm sure you're one of those that can say, keep quiet. And he'll say, yes, ma. Right. Can we now have Dr. Okena Nwosu, the DG of the NESG? I have been instructed. Oh, all right. This is what they wrote from you. Okay, facilitator. So Dr. Okena Nwosu, please, to do a roundup of today's events. Thank you so much, sir.
How are you, sir? We studied law together at the university. Dudu.
Happy birthday. Mr. Chairman, I greet you with 2 hands. Nkechi Obi, God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege for me to stand before all of you today. Panelists, thank you, and speakers. I've kept quiet. I came in a bit late. Dudu invited me to do the roundup. I work with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group as a volunteer, as a facilitator. Why it pleases me to have been in this room, to have listened to everybody and be given the privilege to summarize, is because I was privileged to meet this woman, Nkechi Obi, and she drove the initiative with me of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group to turn the sports sector into an industry. Because sports is business. But that aspect of sports has not been realized in this country. So a lot of what has been said in this room, including the media side, the corruption, the gaps, everything boils around governance. And I'll give you a simple example. The immediate past Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare, when we tried to convince him that Nigerian sports sector needs a policy that will be called National Sports Industry Policy. Initially, he did not understand why this is an industry. So we took him through the value chain. And we gave him an assignment. We'd like you to go and ask Aliko Dangote why is it he's interested in buying Arsenal and not any of the clubs in the Nigerian Premier Football League. He went. The man gave him a simple answer. There is no governance structure in this country that will protect my investment if I buy a club and there's a problem. But out there, there's a governance structure. So it's not tomorrow morning the government gets up and changes the policy and I lose my investment. That he is a proponent that if he's given 100 billion from anywhere in the world, he will invest the money in Nigeria. But for this sports, because there is no governance, no policy to say this is what the government is looking to, I will not put my money in sports. Here, I will take it out there. In terms of investment, he can do sponsorship. So, all the conversations in this room, I'm very happy it dovetails to what the Nigerian Economic Summit Group decided to do 7 years ago. To open up a new economic sector that will drive new revenue streams, new employment streams. And those sectors were 3. Sports industry, creative and entertainment industry, and then the tourism and hospitality industry. I am very proud today to say that Nkechi Obi, as a sector expert who headed the thematic group on sports industry thematic group, has worked with the NESG, and we have successfully, working with the ministry, developed a national sports industry policy. It's a 5-year document. That's 1. 2, we got the federal ministry, the Federal Executive Council, to reclassify sports from recreation to an economic sector. Second achievement. Yes. The third one is that for the first time in the history of Nigeria since independence, the sports sector is now an economic sector in Nigeria's National Development Plan, 2015 to 2021, and then the longer one to 2050. So the sports industry is now an economic sector. 3 achievements. Please give yourselves a round of applause. The last one that we are working on now, I'm representing the private sector in a technical committee. Kechi had to be there, but for other reasons, I'm there representing the NESG. We're working on a national policy to incentivize the sports industry so that the 1 billion center put up by the private sector in your school will be 100% tax deductible. There has to be an incentive for the private sector to develop sports. Because the key way to end the corruption, well, to minimize it, you can't end it. Because even though Jesus had 12 disciples, one of them, there was Ojoro. So you can't end it. But the best way to minimize the corruption is to get the to have the sector to be private sector led. All the conversations in this room are pointing in that direction. And I would like all of you, if you have not read the National Sports Industry Policy, please pick it and read it. If you have not read the National Development Plan, the sports component, pick it and read it. If you've not read the policy decision of the Federal Executive Council, converting sports from recreation to business, pick it and read it. Because when companies decide to do talent development, they can create sports sponsorships. The talent development you're talking about. That, madam, when you were younger, if it was there, it would have been better. So at the end of the day, I want to thank everybody, and I want to give a piece of advice to Dudu. This is live streamed, and I believe it's recorded. You need to get rapporteurs to prepare a report on this event. The NESG would like to have a copy of it. Because it's on the basis of that the recommendation by the gentleman that the committee should work on implementing the outcomes will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nwosu. Thank you very, very much. Right. The chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, but okay, right time, then we have a vote of thanks. Vote of thanks from someone else. Thank you.
I thank everybody for sitting through all this. I'm sure it's a mark of respect for the person of Dudu, who has been this business for decades. It's not everyone that would invite top-notch people in sports and they waste their time coming. In fact, I don't give interviews anymore. If you're a journalist and you call me for interview, I say, play my tape of 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Nothing has changed. Okay? So everything about sports has been written, documented, like the one from the Economic Summit Group. Pick it up and read it. The one from various presidential advisory committees are there. Pick it and read it. Right from a Casaubon committee. There was Vision 2000. Name it. They're documented, they're gathering dust. I think what we should do is to situate our today and maybe get rapporteurs and then update with the information that's been added today. Take advertising, for instance, from the lecture we got from Padley Nkechiobi and Tunji Adeyinka, and also the definitions of who is youth and all that, and just update it. And a very good example of why I say everything has been documented is the tax deductibility he talked about. At times, we keep repeating the same things. I know for sure that OBJ government made sports policy document tax deductible. Remember, I asked Amos Adamu in that presidential advisory committee, why is this not published? Why is it that people spend money in sports and they can't get it tax deducted? It was during MTN days with Adrian Wood that they started pursuing that thing with Shea Bickerstead of blessed memory, country manager for Anderson Consulting. He was chairman. And then the thing is that if you spend money on sports, you should be able to have a tax deducted. And I do remember for a fact that it was pursued at OBJ level then. So please, let's not leave this today like the typical Nigerian situation. Can we get a few volunteers, update the various information we have with the new additions we've had today so that it can be a document that we can now leverage on for the future. Please, thank you for your patience. Dudu, this is a mark of respect for you, the way these gentlemen and ladies have sat down here quietly. Otherwise, we would all have melted away. Thank you very much. And,
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right. Can we have the vote of thanks by Engineer Roy Egboge? At least you cannot tell him to be quiet.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed. Just a vote of thanks today. I'll start by thanking the chairman. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for finding the time to come and direct the affairs today. Thank you for the knowledge and the insights that you have shared. I've actually learned a lot from just sitting here and listening to everybody and listening to yourself. So thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for the chairman of the occasion. I would like to thank the presenters. I see Nkechi left. Thank you so much for so much knowledge on the infrastructure in sports. I'm just a sports spectator. I've learned quite a lot today about linkage between sports and infrastructure, economics, and legal. I didn't even know the NFF was not even a legal entity until today. So thank you so much. I've really been captivated by the standard of the discussion and the level of the discussion. So thank you to all the presenters. Thank you to the presenter on funding and partnerships. Very, very insightful, really insightful. Thank you for the presentation on the media and the role the media plays. Really very insightful. So please, a round of applause, please, for all the presenters today. Our panelists, thank you so much. Two of them have left. Thank you so much for the level of the discussion and the insights that you have provided to all the different presentations. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your time. Really appreciate your presence here. So thank you. So a round of applause, please, for the panelists. The moderators, thank you so much for the roles that you have played today, for trying to get us. I mean, if we give this people to talk, we won't be out of here today because they are so knowledgeable about the subject. So thank you for the difficult task of trying to keep us to time. Very much appreciated. So please, a round of applause for the moderators. Cameraman, thank you. Audio crew, fantastic job. The audio, the organization was fantastic. Thank you all so much for being. Thank you for the summary and the person that just basically put all this, summarized what everything was all about. Really, really insightful. Thank every one of you for coming today. Thank you for coming to do the love sports. So this, I can't think of any better thing we should be doing on his birthday, really, than talking about sports. Really, there's nothing else we could be doing today. So thank you so much. If you come here, you've listened, you've gained something. Your presence here is very much appreciated. So a round of applause for each and every one of us for being here today. And then, last but not the least, I'd like to thank the celebrants. Dudu, wish you a happy birthday, many happy returns, in good health, peace, and everything you wish for yourself. Your best years are ahead of you. And I really know that it is your personality that has basically brought each and every one of us here, and has your personality and your interest, in sports. I don't know if anybody else can pull the quality of speakers that you have pulled here today. So thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Okay.
Wait. At a time like this, when a man is 65 years old, excuse me, please.
Affidavit or birth certificate.
Excuse me, please. At a time when a man is 65 years old, we can thank each other very much. We can thank whoever we want to thank, but we must thank the one who gave him life. Can we keep quiet, please? We want to pray. Abeg Badura. It will be unwise not to thank God for the life of Dudu. So, Father, Lord, we just want to thank you for the life of your son, Dudu. You are the one who created him. You are the one who made him in your image. You are the one who has kept him. You are the one who took him to all the different places he has gone to, including taking him to Edo State and bringing him back safely in one piece. Father, Lord, we are grateful. And we thank you, Father, Lord, for his family, for the children you have given him, for the grandchildren you have given him. We thank you for his yesterday, his today, and we thank you for his tomorrow. Thank you, Father, Lord, because even as he enters into this age, his strength will continue to grow in the mighty name of Jesus. And he will get to know you more and love you more. Father, meet him at the point of his need. Thank you for everyone who has come here today. Thank you, Father, Lord, because as we go, your presence will go with us. Our country will be a country where we can live, where our children can live, and where we can prosper. Take all the glory, my Father. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Madam. You can't take everybody, show picture of everybody in the media.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ, could you please lower the music? Could you please? Thank you. After this picture, we'd like the speakers who presented presentations to please come and take a picture with the celebrant. After this picture. Okay, thank you. Now let's have the, okay. Thank you. Now let's have the presenters. Nkechi, she's gone. Mr. Imo, yeah, speakers and panelists with the chairman, Mr. Dan Ingerem, Aguimo, Tunji Adeyinka, please remain there. Godwin and Akena. Is Godwin still around? Oh, okay. Chairman, we're waiting for you. Shegun Agbede. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Could you please excuse us just for 2 minutes, please? Sorry, sir. Please. I'll call you. Let him just take this. We're waiting for Godwin and Akena. Is he doing the big or the small job? Yeah, here comes Godwin. Here comes Godwin. No, come this way, Godwin. There's space here. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, madam. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Our panelists and our speakers. Where's Biki Ogala? Want to thank you for giving us your private time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can we now have ladies? You can join. Dudu. Has that been done? We're going to cut a cake outside. But before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to just give a big thank you to the crew of IB ST Media. They have given us this coverage, linking us up with the internet. And I must say, they did this free of charge. Let's give them a round of applause, please, even as we appreciate them. IBST Media, thank you very much for what you have done for us today. Dudu thanks you from the bottom of his, he doesn't have a heart, but his stomach. That's sufficient. Thank you very much. Okay, friends. IBST, can you guys just come and take a picture with the celebrant as well? Let's have that on record. As many of you, after this picture, just come. Yeah? No, not you. Okay. After this picture, and you guys are well branded. You didn't bring your banner, but at least we'll have all of you in your wonderful shirts. Thank you. And you got the shot? Yes, thank you. IBST, please come. Okay. IBST, please come. Thank you.